So where did you originally start going to school? In what year and where?
1931 at Blair West. I don't know if you're familiar. You remember where the old Danish Lutheran Church used to be on, which is now 22nd Street? But you know where First Lutheran is now, I assume. 1 block south was the First Lutheran Church before it was new. But I was born in that house right across the street.
That's really cool.
From that.
So when you went to school, did you stay in that school until you went to high school?
I stayed there for 4 years, yes.
What was your sort of early life in general sort of?
Well, in general, times were tough all over the country. We were poor. I wore overalls every day except going to Sunday school. Then I dressed up, wore overalls going to school. We had our own chickens and had a big garden. Ended up there were 6 of us boys, but only 5 lived in that house.
Have you lived in Blair your whole life?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was in Maine for a couple of years. I'll get to that. And I was in the United States Army Air Corps for a little over 3 years in World War II. Well, what can I say? It was wartime. I went to my basic training, and then I went to radio school to learn code for flying in airplanes, which I did. I went to the South Pacific, and I was over there, flew all over the South Pacific, just about. Came home after Christmas of 1946. Had Christmas at home probably about the first part of January, I think it was.
Were you grateful for that experience in your life?
I was thankful that I could serve. I was willing to give my life. You know, I volunteered. It was an experience. Like when I was a kid growing up down at this house, which is just a block south from the corner here, we didn't go any place. You know, we were kind of poor. Everybody was in those days. It's the dirty 30s, they called them. We went swimming only on Saturdays because it was free. We'd walk up to the swimming pool and go swimming Saturday morning. What else would I say? I don't know. Well, I was in the Philippines. I was in Guam. I flew all over to Okinawa, Iwo Jima, back to the whole Philippines from Guam. Lots of islands I can't remember.
How do you think Blair as a community has changed over the course of the years?
Oh, I think it has changed dramatically. I think all small towns around Omaha changed after the desegregation thing. I know Calhoun experienced a big increase in population. The rural population has really changed because there's so many people that have gotten out of Omaha and built a house out in the country. I don't know if you girls live in the country or not, but if you're aware, west of Fort Calhoun, there are thousands, I was going to say hundreds, but I think there's thousands of homes out there. You take from Lakeland and go on east, there's umpteen number of new housing units out there. I think that was a great, a great thing for people if they wanted to get out of the city, particularly, because I'm not a city boy. I wouldn't live there for anything. And of course, with the industry doing what it's done, look what's happened to Blair with Cargill, with OPPD, with just all those things that made a made Blair grow. There's lots of new people in town. I used to, when I was in high school and before I went into service, I thought I knew a lot of people in Blair. I don't anymore. Most people my age are in heaven. 4 of my classmates left alive. At least in Blair. There's one out in California, I know.
Have you ever gotten involved in sort of the local government in Blair?
A little bit. I used to be on the Chamber of Commerce. I got up to vice president. I have not served on any official capacity. I was a volunteer in the Blair Fire Department for quite a few years. I was the first captain of the Blair Rescue Squad.
So you talked a lot about sort of residential growth over time in the more rural areas and even in town more?
I think every small town around Omaha has grown since that desegregation thing. I know Blair has grown on account of its industries. I've seen letters and heard people talk about Blair as a great place to live, and I wouldn't think of leaving it myself.
So you said that you lived in Maine for a little while?
Yes, I did. That's quite an experience. My mother had one sister younger, and he was a Lutheran pastor in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he accepted a call to go to Westbrook, Maine. And for some reason or other, my folks said that me and my next youngest brother could go live with them. So we went up there and lived just a hair over a year and a half. I started freshman year. I was 13 years old. I started in Blair, of course, in September, and we left Blair the 9th of November and went to Maine. We came back in the middle of June of 1941. I lived with my aunt and uncle up there. Different experience, you know.
Right.
Like I said earlier, we lived down here in this house and never did go any place to speak of. Went picnicking a lot. Folks were that way, but were good to us kids that way. But you know, taking us out on picnics on weekends and fried chicken and all that. And we got up there, and here we are, preachers' kids, and we got invited out a lot, you know, being a pastor of the church. And so we met lots of people and lots of different kids also, which was a great experience. And going to school was a big new experience.
After living in Maine, what made you come back to Blair?
And now it was about time to come back. I thought I wanted to graduate, but from Blair, naturally. Another thing that transpired while we were in Maine was my folks traded this house down here for 5 acres of land up across from the Korshaw place. You know where the Korshaw place is up on?
Yeah.
Okay. We had 5 acres, so we come back with my folk. We had chickens, of course, but we had hogs, and I milked 3 cows, and I was happy to come back. See all the kids that I knew, you know.
Do you have any sort of memorable experiences from your high school life in Blair?
Well, I was pretty active. I was in the junior class play. I was in the senior class play. I played football. I played basketball. I played in the band and orchestra. And I sang. I was the lead trombone player, and I was the lead bass singer. And we had a quartet. But we did a lot of singing around Blair. We made some recordings. We sang for different ladies groups, bridge clubs, or what have you. That northwest corner of Iowa, where our former music teacher had gone. This was not my junior year. This was my senior year. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. Because the junior year, we had a real good music teacher. But he went up to Shelton, I think it was. Anyway, we heard that they were having a music contest, so we went up there. I drove up, all four of us went in my little 34 Chevrolet Coupe, and we wanted to be judged. And it was announced that way, so we sang up there and got an A+ or whatever the designation might be. I'm not bragging, but we were pretty good. But I was active in everything in my junior and senior year.
What was it like growing up with a few brothers?
Well, like I said, I had 5 brothers when we
Right.
were living down here. What's it like? Oh, we had our ups and downs and everything, but we had certain jobs to do. We kept busy. We played a lot. We played down here in Cobble Creek a lot. Went ice skating down there in the wintertime with clamp-on skates. We had clamp-on roller skates. I think we had 1 or 2 pair for everybody, so we had to keep taking turns. Oh, we had a good life growing up together. There was me, and then there was 2 years, and then another brother. Then there was 3 or 4 years, then another boy, and then 2 years, and another. So the first 2 were together, the second 2 were together, the last 2 ended up together. That, age thing, and
Right.
they played together. I used to play out in the street here. It was all dirt, and used to play cars and trucks and stuff out there.
After you finished high school and you graduated,
Absolutely. I graduated in 1943.
What was your high school experience like?
My what experience?
High school?
Oh, it was good. I liked it. Like I said, I was very active. I got along with everybody, including the teachers. I never had any trouble. I always straight arrow, I guess. I don't know. That was the way I was raised. Be a good boy. I played football and basketball both the years I was here, junior and senior. Our coach was Choppy Rhodes, who was a former All-American. He lived in Blair, and he had been in Blair before. Matter of fact, I think he was the coach 1940 when Nebraska went to the Rose Bowl. I think he was the coach then. Roy Long was about 3 years older than me. He lives in Omaha, and he was a halfback for the University of Nebraska.
so after you graduated, what did you kind of do to work as a career?
Well, when I graduated, I was only 16. But anyway, the war was on, and everybody's thinking of war. So December of '44, I enlisted in the Army Air Corps, which was what it was called then. Now it's Air Force. I worked at home, I guess, after I didn't have anything else to do, and I'd go up to my father owned the Blair feed mill,